No one does it like me. So have you ever felt yourself or heard yourself saying, no one does it quite like me? What we really mean is no one does it as good as me. But I didn't really want to put that on the title. So why is that? Why, as the business owner, do we sit there or look at somebody else when they're attempting a task and think, no one does it as well as I do it? And what does that mean to the business owner? So even if you're a solopreneur or a sole trader, you can still take something from tonight's training topic because there are various ways in which you can delegate tasks successfully. And we're going to go through some of the findings from my research into this subject. What does it mean if we're always doing tasks within the business because we don't think anybody can do it as well as us? I suppose what it does mean is we've got a job for life. Now, if you've seen some of my other trainings, you know what I think job stands for. Job stands for just over broke. Because if we're doing everything within the business, it can only grow to the level of the capability of the amount of work you can do. So if you find it difficult to let go of tasks, now it is difficult to do this especially when the business is in infancy and you're moving into adolescence. If you don't know what they mean, there's a training topic on the stages of business, which is well worth a read or a listen to. Is basically when you start employing people and you start to delegate work out to them, you're naturally going to be critical of people doing that work. And there are some sort of real problems with that as a way of going about business, because it means the staff feel undervalued. They're not trusted. And you've got to nurture a situation whereby your staff want to be given responsibility. You may look at them and think, nah, they don't. But generally they do. People want to grow within themselves. As long as you don't overwhelm them with stuff and you support them when you give them, delegate work to them, you just don't. So there you go. And on you go. And they really do thrive within their environment. So the problem with you being the person who only does certain work within the business as the business tries to grow means you're tied to that business forever. Now, to begin with, that's no biggie. But if your role within the business means that you've got several hats, now most business owners do wear several hats, means that you can only wear one hat at a time. Whereas if you've employed someone, they could be wearing one of your hats at that particular point in time, and you could be wearing a different one. Therefore, you could be earning more than if you were wearing one hat and then had to go and do another job. Obviously, it stands to reason. So one of the sayings that I quite like, and I came across it a number of times when I was doing research for the business and diagnostic course, was if you're the smartest person in a room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the smartest person in a room, you're in the wrong room. Now, sometimes you think, you know what? I feel like I am the smartest person in this room. I'm the only one around you that knows what they're doing. That means everybody else is in the right room and you're not. So you need to start to move in terms of your networking events, where you're hanging out, and try and grow yourself. And what that will do is it'll release brain space for you, as well as challenge you as an individual, which means then you can challenge your staff a bit more. So think about that. If you think you're the best at doing everything in your business, and you've got 2 or 3 members of staff or even a business partner, and you still think you're the best at doing everything, no one does it quite as well as you, you've employed the wrong people. Surely. It takes a bit of thinking about, doesn't it? You can't be brilliant at everything. As a business owner, as a small business owner especially, you find yourself doing lots of tasks and you find yourself doing them okay, but not as good as somebody else could. So the sort of unpalatable truth I'm about to tell you is nobody does it like you, because some of your staff or people you could hire to do work will do it better than you. So an example I'd like to give you is building your website or doing your social media. Okay. Did you know that you can hire somebody and pay them by the task or by the hour or by the job on various different platforms such as Fiverr, and you can say what you need doing and then ask people to bid to do that work. Now, it takes a little bit of getting used to and setting up, but once you have done it, and you start to realize you can let go of some of these low value tasks, such as doing your social media. It's not low value in terms of what it brings into the business, because it's obviously vital when it comes to your marketing. However, if you're doing, could be bringing in £100 an hour, such as a diagnostic job, and you're doing a job that you could pay someone £5 an hour to do it, there's a £95 difference in value for that task. £95 difference. So you could be paying someone on the other side of the world to do some social media for you for a fiver. That would have taken you an hour. That would probably take this guy who does it all day, every day, about 10 minutes. He's earned a fiver. He's happy. You've carried on doing something in that hour that brings in much more revenue. So you're doing a £100 task while you're paying somebody else to do a £5 task. And that's the key thing about it. And it's not just things like your website. Now, you don't want to take no responsibility for your social media, your website, etc., etc. Some of the content you need to be heavily engaged in. So one of the things that I do if I want a lengthy piece of text for my website, I just use a dictaphone. So I use my phone, I just speak into it. It then turns that into text. I then send that over to a Google Doc, and then I correct any of the ums and ahs or whatever that comes up in it. And then I put it on social media that way. And it saves me having to type it, because typing's a little bit laborious, and not many people who are mechanics are 60 words a minute typists, are they? So there are little hacks like that that you can do that will save you some time. But in the main, what you need to recognize as the business owner are the high value tasks that you can be doing. Yeah. Because it's not that we don't want to stop working in the business, because it's probably what we love doing. We want to be doing more of the high value tasks and delegating the lower value tasks. And it doesn't have to be someone that you employ. It can be someone that you hire just for that task. And there are various platforms out there. That's one aspect of nobody does it better. The bad news is for you is there are loads of people who can do it better than you, no matter what you might think, especially when it comes to that sort of stuff that isn't your core job within the business, but it's one of the hats you put on every now and again. So if you don't want to be doing work within the business, you need to train your staff to do it to the same level as you're capable of doing it, or better. And how do you do that? You need systems, and systems are a robust way of doing stuff that gives you the same result. When I talk about systems, I often talk about McDonald's, because they are a sort of a business that we all have probably had a touch point with at some point. And when we go in there, we always get a similar experience. But if you have a look at the people doing the work, they're all doing the work to a similar standard. They're all doing something to a standard because they have a fully systemized business. And that's what you need to be able to do within your business. If you want somebody to do a job in a particular way, then you need to show them what that is. You need to tell them what's expected of them, and you need to give them an operating manual for that kind of task. So whatever that is, it could be servicing, and it could be that you're continuously having to chase around because they're not checking the battery every time. They're not checking the antifreeze concentration level. They're not reporting the tire. Whatever it is that you'll think, oh, you know what, it's just easier if I do it. It's not. It really isn't easy for you to do it. It's easier for you to train somebody to do it, and then have a quality system in place on top of the system, whereby you're doing checks on the paperwork. It doesn't have to be looking over the person doing the job. You'll know whether or not they've done it properly just by looking at some of the paperwork they've produced. So the best thing about systems, though, because when I talk about systems, I often see business owners, their eyes start to roll over. Oh, I can't do that. I haven't got time to build systems. And when am I going to do that? The beauty of building systems is get your staff to do it. Ask your staff how they do it. And if you've got 2 or 3 techs, say, and they all do servicing, ask them all to say, what is their system? What is their process for carrying out a service? And where they miss things out, or there are differences, get them together. It's a great training opportunity. It's a brilliant training opportunity, especially in a small business environment. Once a month, just ask them to do it. Pick a couple of examples where it hasn't gone so well, a couple of examples where it's gone really well, and get everyone in together and say, let's build a system ourselves. Let's design this, and then let's all take it on board. And then every now and again, we'll review it. If we thought, you know what, there's a better way of doing this, or there's improvements to be made, this will make the staff feel far more valued and involved in the process, because they'll feel it's their system. And what you're actually getting is people to do it like you do it, but they think they're doing it the way they do it, which is brilliant. Because if you think about how that empowers people and how staff then start to feel super valued rather than undervalued, oh, he's always having to go at me. And then you're saying, it's your system. Why haven't you done it to that standard? They take a little bit more ownership. It's a really powerful thing. And it comes up time and time again when you start looking in, in sort of people, when they talk about life leverage and stuff like that. This idea of getting the people who are going to do the work to build the systems themselves. And it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to be complex. You just have to ask them, what is the order in which you do this? Write it down. Simple as that. What are you going to do next? And they can use the template of the service sheet. And they say, I don't start there, I start here. And I work round the vehicle this way. Or you could just have a picture of a car and ask them when they do the inspection, what are let's say it's 15 key points that they check. What are the 15 things you're going to check and in which order? List them. Very simple. And before you know it, you're starting to build systems without actually thinking of you're doing any extra work, which is brilliant. So another reason why the business owner thinks, you know what, no one can do it as well as me and I have to do everything around here, these sort of comments coming out, is sadly because they just can't let go. They just can't let go. And another sad truth is, if you do, you may find that your business does even better. And an example I'll give you is I spent a bit of time training and developing a member of my staff to take over some of the tasks that I did within the business, stuff that only I did. And over a period of time, I let Jack take over slowly, bit by bit, until he had full autonomy over all of that tuning and diagnostic work that I did, which allowed me to leave the business for a year and go and do a master's. And in that year, what happened was we did more tuning and we did more diagnostic work, and the levels of success were very similar to previously. And when I was thinking, you know what, I'm really good at this. This is what I do. This is my, if you like, my unique selling point for the business is I do this work. It was actually not that difficult to replace me, which, sorry, Ant, you're not Superman. I was going to say Wonder Woman then, definitely not her. You're just another bloke who can be, and somebody else can be trained, somebody else you can pass on your skills to somebody else to be able to do that. And because that's what they then focus on, they don't have to put all those other hats on. Yeah, all Jack did was the tuning and diagnostic work. He was able to go into work every day and just think about and smash that, which meant he did more of it than I could, which meant that part of the business in that year was more successful, which it takes some time to develop that individual to get there. But once you have, you can take a step further away, and it really does allow you to grow and scale your business because you can be doing those other tasks while somebody else is doing that work. So the key thing with doing these tasks, though, or when you want to pass something on, is like I said at the beginning, you can't just go, right, you're going to do that from now on, and don't offer any training. And there is a difference between training and mentorship. So you can start by doing a refresher, having, like, as we discussed, get everyone to write down how they do something, and then have a training session whereby you all get together, you say, this is what we're doing, these are good things, these aren't so good things. You can then say, this is what we're missing, this is what we need to correct, and then get everyone to come up and have a plan and come out with your version of what you're going to do. That training then is absolutely worthless if you don't then go and act on it. And that's where the mentorship comes in, whereby you then, as the business owner, as the person who wants this to be done in this particular way, what you then do is you redesign the service template, or you then do a service and show somebody how to fill in the paperwork. And then you follow around when they're doing it and you mentor them. It's now no longer training. You're showing them, you're guiding, you're helping. And once they feel supported in that, it's really easy to take a further step away. And then you can watch them train the new person coming in, because everybody, when it comes down to it, and something that's really simple to do is get somebody who does that task really well, apart from yourself or even yourself, and ask the person who's going to be doing it to video you doing it. How simple is that? There you go. Then you have a video file of how we do this here. That's our system. Make sure you do it really well that day when they're videoing it, because they'll be hypercritical of you. But that's what you want. And then when you then ask them, is there anything I didn't do? Or is there things I could do better? Looking at my routine, how can we improve this? It builds trust and rapport with employees, and it releases you to do those more higher value tasks or work on your business more And what it means is when somebody then is employed, they say, "I want you to spend 15 minutes, watch this video of me do an inspection before you carry out service, and this is how we do it." If you're stuck, you just need to look at the video. If you looked at the video and you still don't know, come and ask me. Imagine the time it frees up. Simple stuff like that. We, with The Apprentice, we've videoed recently where all the tools go. Simple, isn't it? Where all the tools go. So then he's got a little folder where he can go and look and he can see where different things are put away. So if he's asked to go and get whatever it is, let's say it's the cylinder leak down tester, you can write cylinder leak down tester in the folder, search, and then out comes a folder. He can press it, video, this lives here. Never has to come and ask us. Hopefully, over a period of time, it means that when the next time we have an apprentice, all of this will already be done. And that's the idea. So when you think time and time again, no one does it like me, what I'd like you to think about is who could do it better than you? And then go and get them to do it. If it's going to cost you less and you can be getting on with a higher value task, then get that person to do it. If nobody can do it better than you, then you need to train someone to do it better than you. And then you need to mentor them and support them in that. Thank you for your attention.